Welcome back to the channel. My name is Douglas, and in today's video, I am stoked to be announcing my very first worship live set for the Yamaha YC series. You can find these on my website, dsoundman.com. I'll throw a link right at the top of the description. You can go grab this if this is something that interests you. Now, this is something that has been requested quite a bit actually since I started coming out with the worship program packs and sound packs for the Nord stage line. And when I got the Yamaha YC 88 and started to use this in church and in some other live settings, I started to tweak the sound and come up with ones that I felt sounded good live and worked well in that kind of performance stage type of scenario. So what this is 8 presets all set up in one live set here, and I've positioned them in a way that makes them pretty convenient to go through and play these in a live setting. I'll go through each one of these and just talk a little bit about each of the presets that comes included with this live set. It's really easy to get this onto your keyboard. I'll have a separate video where I go through the setup process to bring this live set and these presets into your Yamaha YC. But in this video, I just wanted to introduce it, number one, and to show you just some brief demos of the presets that I've put together for this. And then I'll have a separate video where I just do no talking, straight, longer demos of each of the presets. So let's talk a little bit about what's included in this live set. So there's 8 presets and they're mapped to these 8 live set buttons here. And I have this in my 18th live set here, but you could put it in any available live set that you have. Now, the first one's based off the CFX Grand, but I always have felt like the CFX Grand is a little maybe uninspiring. And again, this is really a personal preference thing, but I always felt like it was a little thin and a little kind of lacking some depth to it. So what I've done is I've done some tweaks to this, and this is what it sounds like. So I'm calling this the Golden Grand, and essentially I've added a little bit of sparkle to it, but also given it a little bit more depth. And what I feel like this does is it makes it a bit more inspiring to play. I've found myself actually sitting down, whereas I used to I would do this on the Nord stage 3 and 4 with the White Grand, sit down and play and just kind of get lost in it. And I didn't find that with the CFX, but with the Golden Grand in this live set here, I find myself doing that now that I've made these tweaks. And then to go along with the Golden Grand, I took that same Grand with the tweaks I had made, and I made a soft version of that. So it has the same depth, but it's a lot softer for maybe as you're ending a song or doing a benediction or things like that, playing behind someone talking. This is a great sound for that. So this is in slot 2 called Soft Grand. So that's the Soft Grand. And now with each of those, I put together a pad layer with those sounds. The way that I've laid this out here is 1 and 5 are the Golden Grand, and then the Golden Grand with a nice pad sound underneath it, a synth pad sound. And then slot 2 is a Soft Grand, and slot 6 is that same Soft Grand with that nice pad underneath it. So what's nice about this is just with these 4 live set buttons, I can switch between a regular Grand go into my Soft Grand, maybe I want the Soft Grand with a pad underneath. Now the pads are all tied to this modulation stick, and that is what fades the pad in and out. So if I just play this with the mod stick all the way towards me, which is down, And then I can start to bring that in. And then maybe you're coming in with the next song, you switch over to your grand with the pad again. The pad is tied to the modulation, so we can come in. So again, with those 4 live set presets, 1, 2, 5, 6, I have all the dynamics I need for a piano-driven song. Now, there are some times where I go into a worship set or into a worship song and I want an electric piano versus an acoustic piano. And a lot of times this is where there's a lot of other rhythm going on, like an acoustic guitar that's driving, maybe they're the primary instrument in that song. And I want to complement that with something warm that fits in, but I can give it a little sparkle if I need to. So I took the 73 Rhodes Studio and I did some tweaks to it to give it a little bit of that warmth that I like when you're playing those softer notes. Hold the sustain pedal and hit a few of those together. And then when you play it a little harder, and then because I want to always have a synth pad on deck, slot 7 is the same modified 73 Rhodes sound with a nice pad underneath, again, tied to our modulation stick. So here. And the nice thing with the YC is I have my on-off sections right here. So maybe I want to start with a pad and just bring that in. I can just hit this little toggle and turn layer A off of the keys, which is my electric piano, and then start off with just, let's hit the F chord here and bring the pad in. Then I can bring my Rhodes in. Draw me close to you. That's an oldie. And in the same sense, you can kill that and switch back to just my pad. Now, speaking of just synth pads, sometimes my role as a keyboardist at church is to just play synthy stuff. And so what I did is slots 4 and 8 are 2 different synth pad sounds that work really great as kind of primary pad sound. So again, tied to our modulation wheel, and that is the volume that's tied to that. So maybe I'm starting off a song, and let's say this song is in the key of D. I'm gonna hit my notes and then start to fade that in. The guitars start to come in, start to bring the drums in. And then again, you can fade that in and out very easily without needing to come up and tweak a knob or anything like that. I like having it tied to that little stick. And then we have another synth pad, which I'm calling the atmospheric pad. And this is one that I developed over a little bit of time here as I figured out I wanted a pad with a little bit of movement in there and the ability to really sparkle it, because some songs you just need to bring that and be a little bit more punchy on your synth pad sound. So what I've done is there's a bit of a sparkle tied to the mod wheel in this case. So if we just play this, it's a pretty simple, nice, full, warm pad sound. And then as we bring the modulation stick back away from me, which is up, there's another pad sound there that I'm able to bring in. Both of these are kind of moving back and forth across your left and your right to give you this sense of movement here. We're going to bring it back to that more subdued pad sound. So again, just to cover what's going on here is 1 is our golden grand, which is kind of our beefed up grand sound. And 5 is that grand with a nice pad underneath. 2 is that grand but a soft version of it. And 6 is that soft version with a pad underneath. And the pads on 5 and 6 are the same in the sense that I can switch between the full with the pad sounds there. And I don't have a change in my pad sound there. So it works really well with the seamless transitions on the YC to switch between 5 and 6 as I need a regular grand and a soft grand sound. Now, one thing to make note, the YC doesn't carry over the sustained note. So when you're switching between 5 and 6, let's do it with 1 and 2 actually, the regular grand and the soft grand. I'm holding the sustain pedal, and I come over and start to play the soft grand, still holding the sustain pedal. I have to re-trigger the sustain before the next sound picks up that sustain message. It's a little bit of kind of, I don't know whether you call it a bug or an undocumented feature, but something to keep in mind as you're switching. The same thing with the modulation control. So as I'm switching 5 and 6, which are my regular grand and my soft grand, if I start playing my soft without touching anything, even though it's up, I have to trigger it in order for that pad to recognize the modulation. So a lot of times what I'll do, you'll see me I'll re-trigger that stick just minorly so it picks up that same spot. So there you go, 8 presets all bundled together in this nice live set up in a way where if I'm, going in and I tweak something and I don't like it, I can just tap the button again and reload that sound. So it gives some peace of mind behind that. I know a lot of churches use volunteer players. So having a set number of sounds here that can be recalled by any one of your players makes it nice so that you stay consistent on your sound. And these, based on my experience with using the YC Live, as well as my experience of playing live and knowing what I'm looking for as I'm playing with our praise band, boiling that down and putting those into the tweaks that I've made here. I'm really excited to get this to you guys. I hope you enjoy, and if you're curious to watch the video of just no talking, me playing these sounds and demoing them, and if you do pick this up, I have a video on how to set up these sounds or just plop the entire live set right into your YC and you're good to go. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy these as much as I have and as much as I do and continue to do on the YC. Thanks for watching. Stay inspired and keep making that music.